Before they were relegated to the salt mines of Activision, churning out annual bang bang shoot 'em up affairs in the form of Call of Duty, Ravensoft was a pretty formidable studio with several top-notch games under their belts. What with the likes of Star Wars Jedi Knights 2, Marvel Ultimate Alliance, X-Men Legends, bro, X-Men Legends. I still haven't beaten X-Men Legends. And let me give you guys a little story. Cue the dream sequence. So back in the day, I had that game for GameCube and I didn't have a memory card at the time. Like, I was poor. But my cousin and I were grinding that game for like 3 days. It was a holiday weekend, so we had like a 3-day weekend. And I was playing that game and I didn't turn the game off. And bro, one day my mom came home and turned the game off. And that just completely crushed my spirit to play that game ever again, bro. And to this day, I haven't touched that game again. Yeah. But enough of that tangent. We wouldn't know that this studio had so many dope games because they haven't released a non-Call of Duty game for over 13 years. But that's another story for another time. We're here to talk about one particular game, a game still regarded by many as the quintessential Wolverine gaming experience. You saw the thumbnail, come on. Now this idea didn't really come from out of nowhere. I've been thinking about the upcoming Wolverine game lately, and the fact that we haven't seen much beyond the initial announcement trailer leaves us uncertain about what to expect. Now, I kind of get it because they're more focused on Spider-Man right now. They don't want to take the attention from that. And also, I don't want this to seem like I don't have faith in Insomniac because I do know what these guys bring to the table. They absolutely killed it with Marvel Spider-Man. Nonetheless, this has made me a little nostalgic, prompting me to dust off the whole Xbox 360 to revisit X-Men Origins Wolverine. For those unfamiliar, this was a movie tie-in, kinda not really, more on that later, from the days when such adaptations were a thing. Hey, remember Catwoman the video game? Yes, we're focused on X-Men Origins Wolverine, a game that remains in many ways the epitome of what a Wolverine game should be. I'm willing to die on that hill. What's going on, guys? It's your boy Cash. Welcome back to the channel. Let's get into it. But before we do, cue that intro. The game kicks off in a dystopian future where Wolverine finds himself relentlessly pursued by heavily armed masked adversaries in a very violent confrontation. Logan dispatches these assailants in gruesome fashion, letting us, the audience, know that this Wolverine game ain't your daddy's Wolverine game. And also, he's very good at what he does, and what he does ain't very nice. But it sure looks cool as shit. The narrative then shifts back in time to Logan's days as a member of Team X, operating under the guidance of William Stryker, alongside other notable characters from the X-Men mythos, such as pre-Deadpool Wade Wilson, Victor Creed, Sabretooth, Fred Dukes, Blob, John Wraith, and even a surprise appearance by Mary from Lord of the Rings. Now, while the game and the movie share a similar starting point, the game takes a unique path during its established 9-hour runtime. For instance, the video game introduces a love story between Mystique and Wraith, hinting to a deeper connection to Nightcrawler. It also introduces Bolivar Trask, the creator of the Sentinel program, neither of which are hinted or referenced in the film. Now, fun fact, despite being a movie tie-in, the game was actually in development prior to the film but wasn't fully completed until later. It was only integrated as a tie-in after the movie release date was set, allowing the team at Ravensoft to incorporate Hugh Jackman's likeness, voice, and specific settings from the film into the game, which explains certain deviations in the story from the movie. Now, I'd say that was a win for snagging Hugh Jackman, not for the movie time portion, because in all honesty, the story wasn't all that great. It was serviceable at best, but players like myself were primarily there for one thing and one thing only, and that's putting claws through faces. An intricate storyline kind of came second in the grand scheme of things. The game featured mechanics that were pretty commonplace in hack and slash games, made even more popular due to the success of games like God of War, but X-Men had a few features that were worth highlighting. For instance, his healing factor in the game was chef's kiss. Whenever he took damage, you saw his skin peel away, revealing the adamantium skeleton beneath. This was absolutely mind-blowing back in the day. X-Men Origins Wolverine took a groundbreaking approach in portraying this ability in the game. Jeff Poffenberger, senior producer at Ravensoft, at the time perfectly encapsulated why this aspect was so crucial for the character in an interview with Game Reactor. Regeneration is a visual thing we really think speaks to the character, and it's also something technical we hadn't seen in a game before. We did do 4 layers, a clothing layer, a skin layer, a muscle layer, and a skeletal layer, and in doing those layers, you get to see a lot of different kinds of wounds. This meticulous attention to detail allowed players to witness Wolverine's healing factor in action, as wounds would gradually heal and layers of damage would visually repair themselves during gameplay. It was a groundbreaking representation of his healing ability, setting a new standard for how healing factors could be portrayed in gaming. It was a testament to the dedication of the developers in bringing the essence of Wolverine to life on screen. And I'm sincerely hoping that this element, or something closely representing it, returns to Insomniac's Wolverine. The only hiccup is that we don't know what the rating will be, which could determine whether or not this visual feature could be incorporated. Fingers crossed that it's an M rating. After all, I think Wolverine deserves that rating, so that us, the fans, see him absolutely go berserk. Pun intended. The combat system in X-Men Origins Wolverine was, let's say, very colorful. The way Wolverine would tear through enemies with his claws, slicing and dicing his foes, was nothing short of exhilarating. The game offered a variety of attack options, including light attacks, heavy attacks, and grabs, not dissimilar to what you would find in other games in the genre. But one particular noteworthy move in Wolverine's arsenal was the lunge, a dynamic maneuver that allowed him to swiftly close distances to an enemy. Now, we'll dive into that attack later in greater detail because I think it deserves its own focused discussion, but let's get back to the other tools you can find in Wolverine's menagerie of massacre. The game encourages players to use the environment creatively during combat. You could impale adversaries to spikes or interact with the surrounding to gain an advantage, adding an extra layer of strategy to enemy encounters, making it feel like Wolverine was making full use of his surroundings to dispatch his foes in the most ruthless way possible. The result was a combat system that not only paid homage to Wolverine, but it didn't shy away from showing the consequences of Wolverine's attacks, with limbs flying, enemies being dismembered left and right, another element that truly captured the essence of the character, and it's something I hope to see faithfully represented in the new game. Now back to the lunge mechanic. The ability to lunge at enemies from a distance and follow up with a variety of attacks was a significant mechanic in the game. The move was especially useful against projectile wielding enemies, allowing you to close the gap to dispatch the enemy efficiently before dealing with other enemies. Bro, listen, I feel like I spammed that mechanic so much in the game, but it was just so cool to do. Now, there was also a skill tree system that allowed players to customize Wolverine's abilities and playstyles. As you progress, you unlock moves and upgrades that made you feel increasingly powerful. This added depth and replayability to the game, and it's a feature that could greatly enhance the upcoming Wolverine game, whether they want to focus on raw power, agility, or tactical finesse. And lastly, but certainly not leastly, the infamous Berserker Mode. This mode was a game changer in the game. Activating this mode in the game turned Wolverine into an unstoppable force of nature, amplifying his strength and ferocity to truly berserk levels. It was exhilarating. I know I use that term a lot, but bro, listen, it was just amazing to do that as Wolverine. To unleash this primal side, man, listen, I think it became a signature feature of the game, because while it didn't necessarily make the game easier, it allowed you to get out of a certain kind of pinch, you know, if you were kind of overwhelmed with enemies and stuff like that. It was basically your Hail Mary. In the new Wolverine game, a reimagined Berserk mode could add a level of strategy and chaos that fans are sure to appreciate, something to the effect of like God of War's Spartan Rage.
Go ahead, finish it.
In summary, X-Men Origins Wolverine set the bar high for a Wolverine gaming experience, and the folks at Ravensoft understood what fans wanted from everyone's favorite Canuck. It captured the character's essence through a portrayal of his healing factor and his visceral, no-holds-barred combat. As we eagerly await Insomniac's take on the iconic mutant, we can only hope they draw inspiration from what I and many believe is the quintessential Wolverine game to deliver an unforgettable gaming experience that does justice to the character we all know and love. Now to wrap things up, I'd love to hear your thoughts on X-Men Origins Wolverine. Do you agree with my retro glance? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments below. And if there are any other amazing games you'd like me to take a closer look at in future retro glance videos, drop me a message on Twitter or catch me on twitch.tv/Kashcroe. Also, if you're interested in becoming a producer for upcoming retro glance or how it ended videos, be sure to check out my Patreon. You'll find the links in the description below. Once again, thank you guys for watching. It's been your boy Cash, and like always, play on, play up. Peace.